Oh, here he is, Tom Sizemore.
I wasn't sure who was open, who was. I'm just joking.
Oh my God, you got to know who's who at this point.
What's up, man? Are you Jim Norton?
I am Jim.
You remember Jimmy from last time?
Yeah, I do.
Of course he does.
Jim.
This is Jim Florentine. Good. How you doing?
How are you, man?
I just ran over here from the.
You're sweating a lot, sir.
Because I ran over here. I took a late bath. I messed my time up, and you shouldn't get dressed after a hot bath.
No.
You need at least a half hour.
Yeah, cool down period.
Oh my God.
I didn't have my cool down period.
Yeah, you need a cool down period.
I
Yeah.
had my 5-minute cool down period.
Yeah, you got to relax after a hot bath because then you put it on and you sweat under the clothes.
I took a really hot bath at the.
Your shirt is really sweaty. Take off your jacket. You'll feel cooler.
Opie.
Yes,
You
sir.
put bubbles in that bath too, or
I did put bubbles and salt.
and so what? Like
You go
Epsom
with the salt?
or
Epsom salts. High-end Epsom salts called Calgon.
and what does that do? Detox.
It just makes your muscles. I'm 52, so I
relaxing.
have a bad back. I have so I take a bath in the morning. But I was so tired.
I don't want to know that Tom Sizemore takes a bath.
No.
He
You don't
seems
want
like
to?
more of a shower
do.
guy.
No, I took a shower after the bath.
I think you're a shower guy.
But I stood up out of the bath and turned the shower on.
Do you
have to.
masturbate in the tub, or do you wait for the shower? Because you don't want.
I like to masturbate standing up.
'Cause you
So
don't want it floating on you.
I start in the tub, but I finish standing up, so it's a clean getaway.
Yeah.
You don't want to arc one in the tub while
And
you're
it
sitting in it.
Yeah, then it gets stuck on your neck.
Having done that when I was younger, having left it in the tub,
Yeah.
and then stood up and it's
The standing
got
up,
out and it's stuck to your body somewhere.
Bad move.
Really bad move.
the standing up jerk is underrated.
The standing up
nice.
jerk, it's
It's
like
nice because your
doing
legs
the
get
rever-
weak for
it's
a
like-
second, and it adds to the experience.
It's like doing the
Yeah.
reverse cowgirl, whatever that is. Does anyone know what that is?
Oh, yeah, it's when the girls,
Yeah.
when you're on your back.
Hang on,
and
Jim.
she's-
Why do you know this?
I've actually read enough
How
erotic
do you not know
escort
the
reviews.
Yeah, I know that too.
The reverse cowgirl is when she's facing away from you.
Right.
She's
Yeah,
sitting
her
on
ass.
you.
That's
you're
always
looking
good
at
for
her
me.
ass.
That's
Yeah.
always good for me.
Yeah.
When she's
See?
facing away from me.
What if she's got a hairy ass? Does that bother you?
No, not really.
No.
You sure?
You could block that out.
Block out the hairy ass. Don't worry, we'll get to the
Do girls
Kickstarter.
have a hairy ass?
Some do.
Some have some spiders back there.
Yeah. I've had a few disasters.
Yeah.
I like the reverse cowgirl because you don't have to look.
I don't have sex from the rear.
No?
I don't like it.
You like eye contact?
Yeah.
Wait, you don't put it in their rear?
I don't like sex from the back at all.
Oh, you don't go doggy style.
I think it's not intimate.
Wow.
And I'm only interested in intimacy.
Nah, sometimes you don't need.
Come
it.
on.
You don't. You never hit a
Oh, he's
chick from
bullshit.
behind.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
jeez,
serious.
Tom. My God.
I never hit a girl from the back.
Yeah.
I never hit a girl in the back or from the back or
You
on the back.
You went out with Heidi Fleiss, I think. I think you did
I
it from
just walked
behind a
into a
line.
buzzsaw here. A buzzsaw. I just walked into a buzzsaw here.
You're not looking at Heidi Fleiss
I wasn't
when
ready
you're
for
having
this.
sex.
This was
Oh,
fucking.
Come on now.
Excuse me. This was 15 years
Are you
ago.
kidding?
Can I live this down?
Do you?
What, the Heidi Fleiss thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you can live it down. It's
Please.
just part of your history, that's all.
It's 15 years ago.
You've got a lot
What were you
of
doing
great
15?
history, too.
Oh, that's true. I don't want to live that down, so I get it.
Have you ever...
You ever try to sneak it in the other hole? Like if you're getting it from behind, like put it in the other one, and you go, "Oh, I'm sorry,
I slipped.
I don't sorry anybody. I was like,
Well, if she gets mad, you probably should say you're sorry.
I put my hand over her mouth and say, "Shut the f up."
Exactly.
You're gonna like this in a minute. Just hang in there.
Yeah, you knew.
Just hang in there. Just let me get past that O-ring. Just let me get past that O-ring. Pop through there, and it's gonna be glorious for you.
Everything's going to be all right.
You're gonna think you have two punyanis. You're gonna go hit me in punyani number 2 today. Punyani 1, no more. No threat of pregnancy. Only punyani 2.
Just hang in there.
Just hang in there.
Sizemore came to play today. I like this.
It's like Bill Parcells, just hang in there. Just hang in there, LT. Just keep smoking that crack. I didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Oh, man. LT loved his crack, too. Wow.
He loved this. Smoked it. Hey, listen, I know what I'm not.
You see the documentary on LT?
No,
It was amazing.
The 30 for 31?
Yeah, it was amazing.
I haven't seen it. The best one so far is Bad Boys, I think. Did you see that one?
No.
Watch Bad Boys. It's about the Pistons.
Oh.
89-90 championship team.
With Lambier?
Yeah, with
Throwing
Lambier.
those fucking elbows, you son of a
He
bitch.
didn't throw any elbows.
And Lambier
He
had his
threw
elbows
fists.
up a lot.
You know what he did do? He stood like
He was
this.
amazing, actually. But
He was
I hate him
amazing.
because I wasn't a Pistons fan.
He would do this, and when they made contact, he would then put his body into him and take them to the floor. That was his main thing.
Yeah.
Was taking charges,
Yeah.
but on the way down, really trying to kill you. He did the wrong. He did it to Bird. Remember that?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
And then Parrish, the next game, Parrish hit him in the
Punched him.
face.
Yeah. Yeah, of course I remember that.
You know what Lambeer said after he punched him in the face?
Huh.
Because he was knocked out. He wasn't knocked out, but he was hurt. His first words were, "Did he get ejected?
Really?
Did he get ejected?"
Yeah,
and
'cause-
they didn't eject either one of them.
Because he was a dirty player. He understood the game.
Well, that was a different ball game then. I mean,
Boy, was
remember
it.
the Knicks? Remember the Knicks team in the '90s with Starks and
Johnny
Doc
Starks.
Rivers and Anthony Mason? And
Right.
I mean, Oakley had a fight every 4 games.
Yeah.
We had some battles with your
I mean,
Pistons.
I have a whole bunch of these 30 for 30s, and I like that Knick team. You know, they didn't win the title.
What
You
year?
remember when John Starks headbutts Reggie Miller?
Of course.
The
Those were the good old days.
That was the most boneheaded play of all time. It cost them the
Right.
the
Starks
conference.
lost his mind.
They cost them the conference championship that year. The next year they won the conference championship, and then Starks went 1 for 17.
That was like 90, what,
That was-
94-ish?
Yeah, the 1 for 17 game was actually the day that O.J. Simpson did his infamous ride in his Bronco.
Oh, they cut away from the game, right?
Arnold Palmer played his last PGA tournament, and the Rangers had their parade. It's on the 30 for 30. It's called whatever the date was.
Okay.
Something 1994.
I got the box set. I got to watch
And
all the 30.
It's a 30 for 30.
I-
and it's
I-
about all the other events that happened that day that
Yeah.
were.
That fucked up Starks' head.
Well, no. That's about. But the Starks meltdown. The Knicks lost the title. The Rangers had a championship parade. Arnold Palmer played his last tournament. All overshadowed by this Bronco going 7 miles an hour down the.
And you're
Yeah.
from Detroit.
That all happened that day.
I was a Laker fan, so I hated the Pistons because Abdul-Jabbar's last game was in a fucking 4-game sweep by the Pistons. The Lakers won 7 games.
We
one
beat you guys
year.
4-0
4-0.
after you beat us the year before 4-3.
Yeah, it was the 7th game that they won. Yeah.
You won the 6th and 7th game. We were up 3-2 coming to
Right.
L.A. and then Isaiah twisted his ankle and scored 25 points. He scored 14 points, and then after the twisting of the ankle, he scored 11 more. Still the most points scored in a quarter in a playoff in a championship game. He scored 25 points.
Really?
And then Jabbar got the foul.
Yeah.
on Lambeer with 4 seconds to go and hit the 2
He
free
hit
throws.
the free throws, yep.
And you guys won by 1, and they came back and won Game 7.
You really know your sports.
I
You know your
my-
basketball.
I know my sports.
This is stuff I haven't thought about in years, and it's
I know,
right in your
I
head.
know my sports really well, actually.
Who's your football team? The Lions?
The lie downs. No, they're not the lie downs. Well, these are the names for the teams when I grew up. We called them they were the Dead Wings, the Piss-Ons, the Tie-Ups, and the Lie Downs. And this was not just me; it was my whole
Right.
neighborhood because nobody won anything. I mean, the Tigers in '84 were the first time in my young adulthood. I mean, in '68 won the World Series, but I was 6. I do remember it though, but I didn't appreciate it.
Right.
And then by the time I really liked sports when I was 10, those teams were all terrible. And one year the Pistons won 16 games.
Wow.
And my dad said, I remember my dad saying, if they double this output next year, they come in last place again.
Wow. That's rough.
That was 2 years before we hired McCluskey, and 1 year before we drafted Isaiah.
It's been rough being a Knicks fan. We haven't won shit.
You guys still got a team here?
Barely. I mean, they're rebuilding and trying. We'll see what happens
You guys
this
got a
year.
team. You guys got a team. I mean, you got Carmelo and
I don't think we win a championship with Carmelo
I
Anthony.
don't think anybody wins a championship with Carmelo. I don't want to go on.
Thank you.
I
You
just-
know the deal because he's a fucking ball hog. He's an amazing
I
player,
don't
but he
think-
doesn't he doesn't make anyone else better
Well,
around him.
You don't know. We don't know how he would. He doesn't make anyone better, but we don't know how he would play with another superstar. He may defer. I mean, LeBron and Wade and Bosh. I mean, they got it. They played together.
That's what you have to do.
They
Carmelo
played-
Anthony
I mean,
doesn't
they
understand
played
that.
together.
guys.
They really did. And LeBron still was a good LeBron.
Do you think LeBron wins a championship for the Cavaliers now?
I think that
Not right away, but in the next couple of years?
I would pick him this season.
This season to win a championship.
I think Kevin Love's the best player in basketball besides LeBron, for my money.
Okay.
I think he's better than Durant.
Wow.
He's just as good.
Right.
Love he's better. He's in the top. There's LeBron and then Love, Durant. And who would you put else? Would you put up in there?
Nick Van
Five.
Exel.
No,
Nick Van Exel's a good choice.
Nick Van Exel said Cancun. This is why he got cut by the Lakers. They were going to play Game 6 against the Spurs.
Yeah.
And it was when Kobe was a rookie and he had 4 air balls in a row at the end of the game. Okay, before that game, they went, whatever they say, like play hard or like defense.
Right.
And Nick Van Exel said Cancun, and the coach was Harris, the guy who coached the Rockets, Del Harris.
Okay.
Del Harris heard him say Cancun, and he told Kupchak, and as soon as the playoffs were over, they cut Van Exel.
What was the problem with Cancun?
Well, he was insinuating they were going to lose that game.
Oh, and he'll be in Cancun by Saturday.
Oh, Jesus.
It was 3-2, Opie. It was 3-2 Spurs.
All right, but I didn't understand why Cancun. All right, that's
it was 3-2
hilarious.
Spurs, and they're going out to play the game. They're in the locker room.
No, I understand
and
now.
He goes, Cancun.
Oh, that's funny. Did he really?
Maybe that's how he talked himself up.
Honest to God truth.
That's
Honest to God
hilarious.
truth. The next season, Rodman was on the team.
Right.
He came to practice without his sneakers, which is why Kurt Rambis cut him. Rodman showed up an hour late to practice after his 12th game. I'm a Laker fanatic too. And he came on a motorcycle with no helmet. Rambis was in the parking lot waiting for him because he was being late to practice, and he wanted to cut him already. And Kupchak was going, no, because he had 16 rebounds. He played 9 games for the Lakers. Then he showed up with no shirt, a pair of cut-off jeans, and no basketball shoes. And he walked in there with Kurt, and Kurt Rambis said to Dennis, he went, "You got any shoes? We have practice." And he said, "I can rebound." And he told me this story. I was in celebrity rehab with him. I said, "Tell him about the shoes." He went, "I can rebound without shoes." I said, "But didn't everybody else have on shoes at practice?"
Right.
And he said, "I'm not everybody."
Wow.
Wow.
And he was actually making fun of himself at that time. And he said, I messed up and I didn't have any shoes. And I was going to practice without any shoes. And Kurt said, "I don't know if you know this, Dennis, but on the Lakers we have certain protocols, and having your shoes and your practice jersey are important." And he went, "I'll go get them." And he lived in Newport, which was 2 hours from the Staples Center.
He went back home.
No, he said, "Why don't you go to Newport and stay there?"
Oh, okay.
And he cut him, and then Mark Cuban picked him up.
Right.
And he went to Dallas, and that was his last stop.
That was it.
What a strange guy. Were you surprised when he went to Korea? How because he seemed pretty drunk when he was over in North Korea. Yeah, he was.
He was drunk.
Yeah.
I don't think he. I mean, I knew him on Celebrity Rehab, and he was not the guy that was in that. I mean, he's proof positive that any kind of abuse makes you a different person, because the Dennis Rodman that I got to know over 2 months bore no resemblance to the Dennis Rodman who was teaching that emperor, that dictator killer, how to shoot free throws.
Right.
And sing "Happy Birthday." That "Happy Birthday" was
I know,
creepy.
I know, but shooting free throws, Rodman was a lifetime 42% free throw shooter.
He was horrible.
He should have. That dictator should have, gotten Mark Price or something.
Yeah, somebody.
Mark Price is a 91% free throw
There's
shooter.
a name from the past, Mark Price.
That's
Wow.
not that long ago. I was going to say Rick Barry for a minute.
Mark Price hasn't played in a long time.
Rick Barry hasn't played in a very long time.
Well, yeah.
And he was the number 2 free throw shooter of all time, 90%.
But he
underhanded.
He did it underhand. That goofy underhand
Yeah.
backspin
Did you know
thing.
that?
I did not.
Oh,
Jim, it's nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
It's
too,
good
though.
to see you, man. It really is.
he was doing the underhand free throw when no one else was doing it. It looked so awkward every single time. But
Well, he
what
was-
was his percentage? 92%?
90 point. I know this actually because I was just reading all this stuff the other day. 90.8 for his career.
Wow.
And Price was 91.1.
Wow.
They're the only 2 guys over 90.
For their careers.
Yeah, and the next greatest free throw shooter is
Shaq.
no, it's not Shaq. It's
course it wasn't.
no, it's someone like Aaron Affalo. Aaron Affalo, the guy who plays for the Heat now, he's from UCLA.
Okay.
Like 87% lifetime.
Wow.
You keep in touch with the Celebrity Rehab guys?
I keep in touch with Drew.
With Drew?
Yeah, I saw him last week. I was on Loveline.
Yeah, I saw your Twitter. How did that go?
Drew's always great.
Yeah.
Mike's a little obnoxious, but he's my obnoxious.
Is he worried about you?
Mike,
No, Dr. Drew.
I'm doing well.
Well, yeah, but I'm just
Oh no,
wondering-
he's
general,
he's my doctor.
Right,
I see him all the time.
right,
He's a great guy.
right.
Did you really meet John Wayne Gacy? We were talking about that before. Was it when you were doing?
I didn't meet him. I was in the cell block when I could see him.
Okay, and you got to talk to him or no?
No. He told Oliver he wanted us to leave.
Oh.
He wanted Robert to stay. He said, especially the girl. Get rid of the girl. That's what he said.
Wait, so all
He
you
wanted
guys?
Robert.
Downey Jr. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
So did he
Well,
talk to him?
Robert, myself, Woody, and Juliet went down there with Oliver to I don't know. Oliver was a eccentric. We had already shot part of the movie, and it was the second half of the movie which takes place in the prison. So we shot the first half of the movie.
Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
There's a half of the movie that takes place right before the drug zone when we finally catch them, and they're in that green building. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then there's the big pull away with the camera, and the next thing is the prison. So we shot that first half in Winslow, Arizona. The first half of the movie was shot all around Winslow and the outer environs, and then we went to Chicago and shot it at what was called Statesville then. It was in Marion, Marion, yeah. No, Marion's in Indiana.
Illinois, isn't it? Marion, Illinois. I'm
Is it
sure.
Illinois? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it was Marion, and it was called Statesville State Prison, and that's where the guys who got the death penalty in Illinois, they had a special place for those guys that were going to be executed in Illinois, and they were sent to Statesville, and that's where John Wayne Gacy was. And we went to meet the warden. This is before we started shooting there, a couple of days before, and he was telling us about how we should behave. The inmates were going to be the extras, and we didn't know that. And I remember Robert was really upset, and Tommy Lee Jones was, that we weren't told ahead of time that the extras were going to be a very big part. They were going to be the only extras there were going to be were inmates. There were going to be no actors, and that Oliver had come out there in the 2-week break we had between Winslow and going to, which was rare for a movie to just because you're going to a different location to have that long a break. But he had to go. He said get ready for the prison, and what he did was one of the things he did was he cast the extras. The guys who were in the cafeteria, when I come in the cafeteria, the guy, Tommy Lee Jones, ties that thing around his nose. He's an inmate. So, and everyone in Statesville is doing life without parole. So they're all like killers and rapists. There's not a nice guy there. I mean, there's nobody like I was in prison and Robert. There's no one in there for being a dumb dope fiend.
Wow.
For possession, then in Statesville.
Yeah.
You had to have killed somebody or raped somebody or
Some real shit.
strong arm robbery.
Right.
So Tommy Lee was the one who was most put off. He was like, Oliver, you're BS me. I got to go in here with these. And he was real serious. He said, how can I be sure that one of you guys ain't going to put a shiv in me? And Oliver said, because they don't care about you. They don't want to have sex with you.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
They just had their way with Tommy Lee Jones.
And Tommy Lee went, sex with me? Ain't nobody having sex with me. And Oliver said, I know. That's why you're so upset all the time. Nobody wants to have sex with you, nor does anybody have sex. I was right there for that dispute.
No, why do you think Oliver did that? Was it to make the actors uncomfortable because you would be uncomfortable in that situation?
No. Well, I don't. Woody and Juliet are killers. Tommy Lee was the warden, and I'm Jack Scagnetti, super cop killer, super cop /
Right.
murderer.
Yeah.
So they weren't really uncomfortable.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And why would he put us with the inmates? For authenticity. Why did he introduce us to John Wayne Gacy? Was, I remember we all felt the same way, which was, why? I mean, I didn't want to meet him.
I think you got to meet him.
No, I didn't want to meet him.
No?
Oliver said, you got to see his Hi-Ho paintings. They're just really great. All these clowns. And
That's a great Oliver Stone.
you got to see this. He's a great painter. Really, Oliver's a great painter?
Yeah.
No, he's not really a great painter.
Yeah.
He's, just that he paints is interesting.
For a child killer, he's a great painter.
I said, he killed teenagers.
Yeah. That's your
16 to 19.
Yeah.
He was pretty specific. He would promise those guys jobs with his contracting company. So they were young men.
And he would get them to. He would. I want to show you a magic trick, and he convince them. You're right. They were. And he would convince them and tie them up. And
No
the
one wants to
magic
see a
trick.
I know
magic
all
trick.
this stuff. I know all this stuff because Oliver
He made you study it.
he educated us. He handed out a John Wayne Gacy dossier on. I remember Woody reading and going, Oliver, what's the point? And he went, just read it. It's fucking wild. He had 33 kids underneath his he buried him right underneath. What do they call it?
Porch or
crawl space.
something? The crawl space?
The crawl space. The
yeah.
crawl space. Yeah, in his house.
Man.
And the smell alerted the neighbors. The bad smell.
How did he not? How did he get used to that?
How did he live in it?
Yeah, how do you get used to that?
I saw a documentary finally on that thing like a couple years ago, and this one neighbor said the smell was fecund. It was, you could smell it from like 200 yards, and the whole neighborhood got together basically and said, "What's in his house?" And someone said, "Call the police." And they said they thought he was a deer hunter, and they said this weirdo's probably got dead deer in there somewhere. So they showed up that night, the police did, and they smelled it too, and they put him in handcuffs, and they took the handcuffs off him because he said there's nothing down there but dead animals. And he held to that later. He said, "I didn't lie." Dead.
Yeah, technically.
Right.
And that evening they found the first 16 bodies.
I wonder how long the neighborhood.
Then
They
he's-
smelled it in the neighborhood before they called the cops.
Yeah, I know.
It had to be going on for a while, right?
They talked about that. The neighbors were very. It's the same thing with Dahmer. You know, those neighbors smelled that too, and they were freaked out and afraid. You know, they were. It's called the Jeffrey Dahmer Files on Netflix, where the officer who was not at the scene but who interviewed him from the day he was arrested until he was sentenced.
We had that guy
He only
on.
talked to one guy. You've seen him?
Yeah, we interviewed.
We had him on.
Patrick Kennedy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
dead
he died.
now.
He just died this year.
We loved him too.
I
think
love him.
2014.
We
He's
love
like
the guy.
6'7".
I love that guy.
He's
was
a
a
gigantic guy.
Giant, huge guy.
I love that guy.
Dropped dead of a heart attack about a year ago.
You're joking me.
No,
No.
we loved him too. We couldn't wait for him to come back to New York. He was great.
You're
Great
kidding me.
storyteller.
Now we talked to him for what, 40
Did
minutes?
he have the
whatever?
handle? Did he have
Long,
did he have the
big
handlebar mustache?
Yeah, giant
that's the
guy.
guy.
I've watched that Jeffrey
Positive.
Dahmer. I've watched that thing several
Patrick
times just to
Kennedy.
watch him.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He was wonderful.
He was so authentic and so
He had a relationship
honest
with
about his
Dahmer.
empathy. When he was so honest about his empathy he felt for him. I mean, it was so authentic.
Right.
A lot of people say, "How could you have empathy for a man like this?" And do you see the thing?
I
Yeah,
didn't
he said
see-
he cried when Dahmer died. It was a weird thing. Yeah.
But and in the documentary, he by the time he's done explaining why he had these emotions for him, you really understand why he did, which would be a difficult thing to explain. He was a very smart guy, and he's dead. Really?
Yeah, I thought the documentary was so good because he was describing, when he was describing the night that Dahmer got arrested,
Yeah.
he was describing the weather, and there was something about his description. I'm like,
Yeah.
he just made you feel like you were
And
there.
the coroner also did a good job. Remember, the coroner was talking about disasters. That was the word he used. When a disaster happens, and he explained what a disaster meant to a municipality. Remember that?
I don't remember the coroner, no.
Okay, he's very, very forgettable. He's a very like a monotonic guy, but he was counterpointed with the poor guy who died.
Okay.
And Milwaukee could not handle what happened there. I mean, the press, the bodies, and not knowing who the bodies were, and then the bones, the heads, and putting the bodies. It was just like he said, it was a disaster for Milwaukee, and he didn't think they ever recovered in his time as the coroner.
Oh, as a city or
as
a
a
state,
city,
yeah.
as a city.
Wow.
Whatever happened to that house?
They knocked it down. They knocked his
They
apartment
tore it
complex.
down. It's an apartment
The
complex.
whole apartment. So they,
They
made
had
every,
They had everyone. They got everybody. It's in the documentary. They had everybody in a new place, right?
And I remember that.
Remember the black gal who was his buddy, who was his pal. And
yes, I do remember
yeah,
that.
she was a crack. She was at the time. She was addicted to crack, and remember she talks about being addicted to crack. Anyway, she's his
I'd say it
friend.
again.
She was Jeffrey's friend, and she was the only one in the complex who was his friend. And she's at the very end of the show. Her and what's his name again?
Patrick Kennedy.
They both wept when they heard that Dahmer had been murdered, and it was just very moving. I mean,
were there holdouts?
The
Imagine there was holdouts in the apartment complex.
no,
Like, I'm not leaving.
everybody wanted to move.
I'm sure
The tourists,
you would
people
assume.
coming by and gawking at their
The
place.
hotel is still there. It's across from the Eagle Ballroom, which is a concert venue. I've played it a couple times. The hotel where
He killed the one guy.
He killed the one guy in the hotel. I think it's called the
It's
Ambassador.
bizarre too. He killed that guy. He walks in with a guy. He checks in the same concierge. He goes downstairs in the morning. He goes, "I need a big suitcase, a really big suitcase." And the guy goes, "What for?" And he goes, "For some big stuff." So he directs him to a luggage place. He goes and gets it. He comes back, saws the guy in half, puts him in the suitcase, cleans up, asks for a later checkout, comes downstairs. Remember this? And he wheels the suitcase right by the.
I don't remember any of it. I only remember Patrick Kennedy is the thing I remember from that documentary.
Did you watch the whole documentary?
Oh, yeah, before we interviewed him.
Okay, you remember when he goes to see the goldfish and he watches the fish eating each other? That's where he first got the idea of eating things.
Oh, wow.
And he used to go around and see aquariums all the time. And then he starts breaking into department stores and talking and dealing with mannequins. And he's figuring out how to eviscerate them. And he steals a mannequin one night. Well, they have a double playing Dahmer, but it's really good. It's really well done. You know those things where they go. It's what do they call it?
Dramatizations.
A re-dramatization, yeah. And they show him stealing these mannequins, and then Patrick Kennedy, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Patrick Kennedy goes, Jeffrey told him that he practiced on the mannequins how to make sex zombies. He was trying to make sex zombies because a lot of them died from blunt trauma from
A drill.
The drill,
he
yeah.
was drilling him in the hippocampus.
What was he injecting into their
He
head?
he wasn't a doctor. See, he worked at a chocolate factory, and I thought he was taking some risky chances.
Yeah, not qualified.
So he couldn't kill them before he did it because he wanted them to be alive. So he was practicing on these mannequins, and Kennedy said, "Well, Jeffrey, the mannequins aren't people," and he said, "I know. I figured that out when I killed my first person. I mean, when he died, he calls him that." An asshole. He said, "This guy, what an." To Kennedy, he goes, "This asshole died on me, and all I was doing was putting a small indentation in his head with a drill. Small indentation in his head with a drill." And
he was hoping that would have worked.
And he realized, no, he said this. He didn't need to go as deep.
Oh,
so because he wanted him to be alive,
right?
And he'd done some cursory, as Kennedy said it, some cursory medical studies at the library, where books he wouldn't check out. He'd go to the library and read.
Wasn't he putting stuff in their heads too? A chemical?
Yes.
What was the chemical?
That was later when he was. It wasn't an embalming fluid. It was a fluid that would heal up it would heal a wound and make the skin come back. So he didn't want them to have imperfect skin. So he wanted to drill them in the head. They don't die, and then put that fluid in there and have it fill back up. So when he kissed them, he could. Wow.
He could have just got some spackle.
He could have gotten some spackle, or he just could have just been a necrophiliac and just.
Right. Or
well, Kennedy asked him. He goes, "Why didn't you just want to have sex with them when they were dead?" He goes, "I tried that, and it just wasn't the same."
oh my God,
Really? He didn't get us turned on?
He was open-minded, though. I'll say that. Dahmer was definitely not a closed-minded guy.
Wow.
He explored options.
where's it? What's
And he
it?
also took heads to work,
Yeah.
right? To the chocolate factory in a bowling bag, right? And put him in his locker.
Well, that's when this is the funny part was when he tells Kennedy in the documentary, he goes, "Well, everybody's going to find out, so I just should tell you now. There's 17 bodies in there." And Kennedy went, "Oh, come on. You're out of here." And I went, "You know what I'm going to do, Jeffrey? I'm going to leave the room. I'm going to give you a chance to get familiar with the truth." And he goes out. Remember this part?
Yep.
And his cell phone rings, and it's the police chief who's gone over there. And he goes, "Patrick, someone just opened the refrigerator, and there's 5 heads in the refrigerator."
Oh my God.
And we found in his bookcase some torsos. And Kenny goes, "Well, then," he's such an interesting man. He goes, I stopped for a moment and I went, "Well, then it's all different now. I have to go back in there." And I went back and I went, "Jeffrey, you and I have to become friends." And he goes, "Somebody told you, didn't they?" And Kennedy says, "I knew then that I realized I just should tell him, be forthright with him." He goes, "Someone opened the refrigerator." And he said, "I told them not to when I was being arrested. To stay out of the refrigerator."
Right, like
It was going to be
hungry or
it was
something.
going to be It was going to be alarming, and anybody who he actually said this, anybody who had a weak stomach might want to refrain from being in the room.
Oh God.
I mean, one of the things that Kennedy liked about Dahmer, I mean, he was insane, was that he was courteous, he was very well spoken, he spoke perfect English, and he was a gentleman, and he knew he was deeply sick, and he was glad he was caught.
Right.
And this was also, wasn't he adamant too about not being a pedophile because of that Loation? What was he, Loation, the kid that got out and Dahmer didn't realize how young he was? And that was
And the police gave him back to him.
yeah, there was
Yeah,
mother's
bleeding
He
in the
was
street.
bleeding from his rectum with a pair of underwear on.
Yeah.
No shoes, no shirt. And he said, "It's my boyfriend. We had an argument." And he was obviously underage. He was 15. And they said, "How old is he?" And Dahmer said, "He's 18 years old." I mean, you think and the kids going, "No, no, no." And they said, "Here."
How does that happen?
That's just
Those cops got in trouble.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a terrible guilt too. That
He
cop
took
must
him
have.
right back to his house and cut off his head. No drilling for him.
That's if you're the kid, you got to go for the cop's gun or do something that's going to get you arrested.
Right.
In that moment, you got to do something that's going to get you
He
arrested.
probably wasn't thinking very clearly.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's half naked with a fucking serial killer.
Well, he had
Yeah.
started drilling him in the head, so he had like an indentation. And he,
Oh, my
while he was having sex with him,
Right.
and he took him back to his room. This is a really unpleasant conversation. But then
It's kind of fascinating that
Yeah.
you know this much about it.
well, you watch the documentary and you know about it. But then I looked up Kennedy's because I was so taken with that detective.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he never stood up. It's all a medium shot, so you never know he's 6'7". I mean, he talks about how he could handle himself, and that Dahmer made him feel very small. That someone with this kind of psychopathology, it didn't matter how big a man you were or how calm you were under pressure. That if someone was this obsessed with killing you, you would end up dead.
He would drug them too, wouldn't he? No,
Yeah,
Dom would go-
he gave him the typical Rohypnol.
Oh, just to give him a drink with something in it.
He had to be a little charming to get the guys back to his place. I mean, we go to the Cruise the Great.
He wasn't a bad-looking guy.
Right. Blonde hair, bring him back to get him back,
He,
and then
he had a very cheap apartment, and he had kind of a well-paying job. He made like $52,000 a year, and he spent every dollar he had on like nightclubs and adorning his. He was making his room into a sex museum. His apartment. He was going to make the walls out of skin. I mean, he had this whole elaborate idea. It's in the documentary.
Odd guy though.
It's in the documentary. He had a mini construction of his apartment of how it was going to be. These dead bodies and these sex zombies. They standing there in robes with erections.
I get why you'd want that, but it's just not realistic.
yeah.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I mean, total control over other people. Sure.
You want to make a sex museum in your apartment with women, right?
No, the skin I couldn't get, but just the idea of having total control over sexual like, yeah, that's a fantasy every person would have. But to actually think you're going to do it,
but they can't talk or anything. All they can say is yes.
Yeah, it's kind of furthering my point. Yes.
Howard, imagine how creepy that would be to come home to every night after your
I'm
job.
with Jim on this. Now that I think about it, I think it sounds kind of interesting.
What's in the
Well,
apartment?
the only word you can say is yes.
The apartment.
What about an
complex-
honest thief?
Yeah.
We'll get there later.
Fuck that.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew it.
The apartment complex. In my own mind, I'm obsessed with it. What's there now? Is it just
I think it's just there's nothing.
Empty
It's just
lot
flat
or whatever?
ground.
They don't have
It's just an empty
they
lot.
don't have a plaque there saying this is the spot where.
Well, I'm sure people still go by though,
Yeah.
even though the apartment complex is gone.
It's an empty spot where they have built a. There was a freeway near it. They built what's this? What freeway? It's called. Where you drive next to
On ramp.
No, the service drive.
road.
Service drive.
Oh,
Service
okay.
drive.
I know the hotel. They get pissed because people go in there and let me in a Jeffrey Dahmer room. They still do it. I think it's still called the Ambassador.
I
if
wanted
I'm
to
not
go there and do
mistaken.
that actually.
Yeah. People just go in there all
Believe
the
it or
time.
not,
There's a lot of people that do that. They found these hotels where horrific shit went down, and they want to stay in that room.
that he's talking about. They
Yeah.
have like 15 or 16 people every day who want that room.
Did you when you wanted to meet Casey? Stone wanted. Oh, you didn't want to meet him, but Stone wanted you to meet him because of the vibe of the movie. He just
I
figured-
guess, or he just thought we would want to meet him. I mean, Oliver was very eccentric, and I think I don't mean this in a bad way. He's kind of selfish, and that if he wanted to do something, he thought you wanted to do it
Right.
too. You know those kind of guys.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, they go, "Hey, let's go jump off this building into the water over there by the."
It seems like that because you guys were filming there. It's like, whoa, John Wayne Gacy's here. Why don't we try to meet him?
But he killed 34 boys.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did he? Were the inmates good, or were any
That's
of them a problem? or no?
that's when they. What's that?
Were any of the inmates a problem, or were they all great for the film?
There were no problems at all.
No, they were all great, right?
No, yeah, they were all great. It was mainly the El Rukins. They were the El Rukins that they had.
A gang?
Yeah, I don't know much about gangs, but they're called EL, capital RUKINS. They made up the majority of the inmates because they had a real rules of conduct as gang members, and they had a leader in the prison. His name was Big Load. That was his name. Big was his first name, and Load was his last name. I don't think it was his real name.
I'm sure.
But his cell, because when Tommy Lee Jones and I were walking through the prison, remember we were walking, it's a long walk and talk. At a certain point, we end up where the prisoners are and their cells are, and his cell was on the left. You don't see it, but his cell, what he had done is he had knocked down 2 walls. So he had taken 3 cells. They allowed him to do that. Prison. The inmate, the warden told us the inmates run this prison. All I do is keep them from going over that wall. My guards are not to engage in any, activities with these prisoners. If they start fighting, we wait until the fight's over, and then we go in and take them out. We don't stop anything because they were totally outmanned, and that prison was so overcrowded, and everybody there was a psychopath. That this guy had knocked down the walls and taken 3 cells and made it into 1 cell, and it was immaculate. And he had TVs, big screen TV. He had pornos. Because I went in his cell. He went, "Hey, come here, Sizemore. Let me show you my suite." And I said, and Oliver went, "Go on, here you go." And I went,
That's Oliver encouraged you to go.
Go on.
He sounds like Jonathan, right?
Tom Lee said, "Don't go in there, Tom. Don't go in there. You may not come out." And I went, Tommy, come with me. He went, I got no truck with no killers. And actually, okay, so I went in there and he didn't kill me. I'm here. And
right, he was probably nice to you, right?
Yeah, he was really nice to me. He said, what do you think of my aesthetics?
They let him do that because that probably kept him.
He used the word aesthetics. and I did it like a take on aesthetics, and he went, surprised that beep like me knows what aesthetics means. I went, no. And he went, you BSer, so you are too. And he weighed like probably 450 pounds. And he said, are you hungry? And he had these wraps, these chicken wraps with this, like you see those mafia movies where the guys are eating steak?
Sure.
Yeah.
He was that guy. And he was the El Rukin's leader. And he, in the first take, someone from the upper tier who wasn't an El Rukin threw a thing of milk down, and it hit right in front of Tommy Lee. They were trying to throw it at us. And, it was kind of called an uproar, and cut, and we all kind of like ran back. And then Big Load came out, and he went, what do you call them? Fellas, behave! If you don't, you're going to be killed.
Wow.
And I'm going to expedite it.
Wow.
Aesthetics and expedite.
Wow.
Wow.
And these guys behaved. They went back in their cells and they went through milk at us.
Did they allow him to make the cell that big just because that kind of kept him keeping the gang?
That prison was like, I think, unlike any other prison maybe in America. Because they took the prisons back sometime in the late 90s in California. I think they went across the country. There was a period in America after Attica where the inmates kind of had a lot of autonomy because they realized that they couldn't arm the guards because there was... It took those prisoners a long time to figure out, like, we could take a gun from one of these guards and start killing them. Because at Pleasant Valley State Prison, where I was for 7 months, there was, for every inmate, for every guard, there was like 700 inmates. Some insane number. Where they were, the only guns in the prison were the guys in the towers. And the guards didn't even have mace on them. If something happened, they went and got those guns with the rubber bullets in them, the block bullets. So it was crazy.
How was your time in prison? How did you pass the time?
It was, in all honesty, I really can't, I don't think there are any words to describe how demoralizing and soul destroying, well, maybe not destroying, I didn't destroy my soul, but I was very cognizant of the fact that I wanted to leave there on my date. And I wanted to leave there as much as I became aware that I could leave there conceivably not the same person at all. Wow. Because it was so scary. And the violence is imminent. It's always there. And I was in general population because if you want to be in protective custody in prison, there is none. You go to the hole, which is administrative segregation, and you're cut off from. And I went there initially because they made me, and then I had to get out of there. I had to sign away. I signed a document saying I would relieve the state of California from any culpability or if I was harmed.
You really wanted to be with the other people. You were like,
no, I didn't want to be with the other people. I didn't want to be in that hole.
But the hole was so bad.
It was so horrible. I mean, there's absolutely no human contact. I mean, you don't see a human face. When you get handcuffed to take your 1 shower a week, you put your hands through the hole, and it's not a cell, it's a door, and you back out. You don't even see his face, and you hear no human voices. So, I mean, I started to break down really quickly.
Right, you were in it like 23 hours a day to even
No. You get an
more?
hour of yard alone a week.
One hour a week.
1 hour a week and 1 shower a week.
Wow. And then it's just...
And no light into the cell itself? Into the hole?
There was a light in the hole.
But I mean, no sunlight coming in?
No sunlight, nothing. Wow. And listen, this is how bad it got. I was on day like 12, and I was writing in my journal. I was writing a letter, and I'll show Jim here. I spelled my name like this. And I couldn't stop doing it.
It's an O, a big capital T, and then a tiny M after it. Wow.
And I couldn't stop doing it. And I mean, I started to trip. I mean, I was crying. It's the only time I banged on my door and went, and I started, and I'm not joking, like the guy in Clouseau. I didn't start going like this, but I started going like.
You're blinking a little.
Like the blinking, like the.
I wasn't blinking. I was doing this.
Tilting your head to the side.
Yeah, and like I was being crushed.
Right.
And I was having. Drew told me it was It was a breakdown. It was not a nervous breakdown. It was I can't remember the term for it. There's a specific term for it. It's a short-term thing that happens when you're under incredible stress. And it wasn't post-traumatic stress disorder. It was my central nervous system was shutting down. That's what he said it was, but there's a word for it. And had I continued to stay there, he said you could have had a stroke.
Wow.
The stress would have, because it's stress. Like my whole body had broken out in these red dots, and they weren't hives. They were from stress.
How long did you last in there, in the hole?
I was in there for 18 days.
That was all in 18 days.
Yeah, but and day 7 is when I made the OTM.
Right.
And on, I think it was like day 10 or something, I started doing the, and it went on to Opie like this for like all day. I would go.
You're playing, sort of crunching your whole
It's like kind of like just.
And then I would get down here, and it would take a Herculean effort for me to go,
and get out of it.
Anyone ever that thing when they're sleeping? And you feel that weird thing, you're sleeping and you think you got to wake up or you're going to die?
Yeah, you can't, when you can't move?
Yeah.
You feel numb,
You're asleep, but you're aware that you're asleep and you go, oh!
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, you guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, it was like that, but it wasn't, I'm awake, I'm not sleeping, but to get from when I finally would be in this position where I would be like, to get out of it, I had to do the same type of thing.
I don't know how shock yourself back to reality.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You kind of go you got to get yourself together and go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wake up and you go, oh.
Yeah.
What was the thing about the hole that caused this, you think? Obviously a horrible situation to be in, but what was the actual specific thing that you just couldn't take that got your body going like this?
I think it was a combination of that I put myself there with drug use, that I had no one to blame but myself. Okay. That I'd broken my mother's heart. I'd broken my own heart. It was the first time I took, I got sober, not then. I got sober like 18 months later and then had a relapse, a brief one. But that was when I finally realized I had to get sober. I mean, because I was in denial that these drugs had put me there. I thought Heidi put me there. Or the police had put me there. I put me there. It was those were my choices.
Right.
They told me, you got to stop doing this. This judge gave me an enormous amount of latitude to fix myself. I mean, to get it together. And he put me in treatment like 5 times. The state paid for it, and he didn't want to do it to me, And he thought that all my issues and my problems were drug related, and he was right. I mean, I have issues like everyone does that that are normal. Like I don't like getting older. You know what I mean? I have my siblings and I argue. Certain. I have body issues.
Basic stuff that we all go through.
I put on 10 pounds and I don't want to go out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain stuff that's just human stuff, but these other larger issues, about, for instance, watching porn 24/7. I used to go over to a buddy of mine's house and he'd have porn on at 2 PM. And this is when I lived in Manhattan. He's an actor. I'm not going to tell you his name. And he didn't do drugs. He was just a weirdo. And he's not my friend anymore. I thought he was a weird.
I need to know which actor.
Porn. Listen, I'm telling you, the first time I went to his apartment, I met him on a movie. Right at the beginning of my career.
That narrows it down.
And
early in the career. Good.
He kind of talks like this. Anyway, I went over there.
I'm going to look this up. Someone's going to get it now. You gave too many clues.
He's on a show right now.
You want to tell us?
I know. I don't like it.
Was he ever masturbating when he had the porn on when you were there?
No, but I waited for it. He had his shirt off once, but the first time I went to visit him in his apartment, I just became friendly with him. I walk into his apartment on 11th and Perry, 11th and I lived on Perry and Hudson, 11th and what?
It don't matter.
You know where the patisserie is over there?
11th Avenue or 11th Street?
11th Street. Over there. Perry and Hudson's right by the White House Tavern. I had an apartment right there. You go down a block.
What year was this about?
1989. 1990.
When did you do what
Born on the 4th of July.
It's an actor from Born on the 4th of July? Oh, my God.
You can figure it out now. It talks like this.
Oh, yeah, okay. People mispronounce his name all the time.
It's not Willem Dafoe.
How do you
pronounce? Oh, that's what he's done.
No, it's not him.
How do you pronounce Tom Cruise?
It wasn't Tom Cruise.
No, Tom Cruise.
He was in The Crow.
Wasn't Frank Whaley.
He was in The Crow.
Why can't we get this?
Come on, you guys.
Oh, fuck, The Crow.
Who we just interviewed from The Crow? Ernie Hudson.
Oh, is it Ernie Hudson? No.
No.
I know it is. Whatever.
Ernie Hudson's a gentleman.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Wait, so tell us more. So then.
Okay, so I go up there.
Right.
I'm a young actor and young guy. I'm 25 or 26 years old, and this guy was in The Road, this play, and he was a happening New York actor. He was in talk radio, and I go up there and I walk into his apartment, and I hear walking. I hear this music, and I went, "That sounds like porn music. What is that?" You know, it is porn music. And we walk down the hallway, and we come in, and he had one of them big TVs. They were flat screens.
Right.
And there's some girl having 7 guys come in her face at once.
Jeez.
He was on the cum shot compilation part.
Oh, wow.
Right.
you have your menu of things you can watch. He just skipped that. He skipped the movies. He skipped with the cum shot compilation, slow motion. Okay, it's in slow motion, and he could zoom in on it.
Right.
Jim. You know, you could
Yeah,
the DVD
sure.
where you can like zoom in,
Yeah.
and keep the pixelization,
Yeah.
and slow it down, and the music doesn't slow down. The music's going walking. The groans though are slowed down, so you hear like, "I'm gonna," in slow mo. And then he had zoomed in on it, so it's just the dicks. It's just the dicks and her face, and I was stunned. I stood there like. Anyway, you like it?
Do you think he was trying to get into something weird?
No. I think he's...
Just a bizarre guy.
Yeah.
This is weird.
But what did you say when he said you like it?
I went, huh?
I'm cross.
Huh?
Was it a Baldwin?
No.
I'm cross-referencing here. I
I'm
can't
guessing
figure this
Eric
out.
Bogosian.
Okay, he talks like this.
Eric Bogosian?
Well, he's
Was
in
in-
talk radio.
But was he on Born on? He wasn't in Born on the 4th of July.
Not
was
to
he?
my knowledge. Was he? Oh. Hold on. Wait, I can't hear the last name. Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have. I would not have known that name.
But you know who he is, right?
I've heard the name, but I couldn't.
He was happening for a while, and then
Right.
then it cooled off.
Well, he's too busy watching porn all day.
Yeah.
Listen,
can't
it
go
was
on auditions.
24/7.
So you kept going back.
Why would he go
I
back?
couldn't leave. No, I became his roommate.
Yeah. Wanted to make a fucking wallet of your
No,
skin.
I never went back to his apartment again.
What was in it for you
What?
to go over there in that weird
Well,
situation?
I liked him, and I just
Said, hey, we'll go.
I just ignored it. I mean,
Yeah.
I sat down and I said, you know what? I can't eat this quiche. With the, can we turn the porn off for a second?
Yeah.
It's Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. I mean,
It's
isn't
football, all
Isn't
right.
porn isn't
Pistons are on.
Isn't it porn a nighttime activity?
Right.
Yeah.
They're playing the
A
Lakers.
cocaine activity? I thought it was a cocaine nighttime activity after 2.
Yeah.
And he went, "What are you talking about?" And I went, "Nothing. I'm gonna go to the patisserie." And he went, "You don't want this quiche? I made this quiche." I went, "Can you turn off the porn?" And he went, "You know what I don't like? I don't like people telling me or judging me and shaming me and that I'm doing something wrong." I went, "I didn't say you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying for entertainment fare right now, it's not entertaining to me. I think it's beautifully done. I think these actors are just lovely." They're kind of like, Burton and Taylor. It's just gorgeous stuff. It's gorgeous stuff. It's like the Midnight Express. It's just great. I remember saying these things to him, thinking he'd get my cynicism, and he went, "You're running me down. You're judging me, and you're shaming me."
Wow.
And he was very, what's the word? These guys had a victim complex.
Yeah, sure he did.
And I said, "No, I'm not. I just don't think it's, you don't think it's right?
Or, yeah.
You're judging me. You're a Calvinist or some shit like that." A Calvinist.
Why would he invite you over and have the porn on? That seems like he was.
Well,
looking for
I wasn't the
maybe
first one he did
something.
it to. He did it to somebody else.
So what was that
He
about?
did. I think he may have done it to Willem. Willem went, "Hey, you go over? Did he have on his favorite films?" Fucking freaky, huh? I stood there for like an hour and a half just tripping, man. I wanted to watch the guy and go, "Who is this guy?"
Wow.
And he's going, "Hey, watch this part." Like, watch the scene in Deer Hunter. Hey, let's watch the scene when they do play the Russian roulette. And he's like, "Hey, let's watch the scene where Seika gets
It's another type of shot to the head, so it's a great call.
Remember Seika?
Oh, yeah, I know her.
Jim, you do not.
She's a friend of mine. I wrote the forward to her book.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, or one. She had like 2 forwards or something. Yeah,
That's so ironic that I said her name.
I love her.
Because she was my first favorite porn star.
Mine too. She was a goddess. A goddess.
I thought she was this ice blonde beauty. I remember thinking, why is this woman doing porn? She's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I was a teenager, I believe.
She had the curly hair in some videos, then the long straight hair in a few of the later years
tall?
when she did club.
She seemed tall.
I don't remember how tall she is.
But she seemed tall in those videos. And the first porn star I ever met, who I ended up liking too, was Vanessa Del Rio.
I've never met her with her giant clit. I do like her though. I loved her big clit.
I didn't know she had a big clit when I met her.
Jimmy appreciates a good
I met her.
big clit.
I met her. I lived on Clinton and DeGraw, and when I first moved to New York in '84.
Yeah.
And I went to this gym out there, and I forget the name. I used to know the name of the gym, but you know where Clinton and DeGraw is? It's in It's in Cobble Hill. Cobble Hill is right outside of Brooklyn Heights.
Right.
So you walk down Clinton Street, which goes all the way to Montague, and you cross Atlantic, and you go about 3 more blocks, and there's DeGraw. It was 353A was my first apartment, Clinton Street, and Court Street was 1 block from there, and then a block from Court Street going this way was the gym. So I'm in there, right? I joined this gym. I'm 22 years old, and I'm brand new to New York. I have this apartment with my girlfriend, and we moved there from Temple University to be actors. And I joined the gym, and I'm working out one Sunday afternoon, and this, I thought, very attractive, kind of like middle-aged gal comes in, Puerto Rican and I wasn't in love with my girlfriend, obviously, because I went over and said, "You need a spot?" And I was skinny and stuff. And she said, you can do better than that, can't you? And I said, Seika, Inside Seika, the Platinum Princess of Porn. I directed that. Oh, no, Jim did.
Lovely, lovely girl.
You wrote the forward to her book?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm buying this when I leave here.
All right, go back to
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
You know her that well, huh?
Yeah, she.
Is it a good book?
Yes, she sent me. I read
I'm
a
not
galley
interested
copy right
I'm
before.
not interested in the sex part of it. I'm just interested. Is she an interesting person?
Yeah, her life was actually pretty interesting. I mean, she's a very normal, nice lady. I mean, she's oddly, she's not exactly like you picture her.
I met a very, oddly enough, her name is Asia.
Akira. She does David Show's podcast with him. She's hilarious on Twitter.
She's a really regular.
Yeah.
A really truly regular person.
Very educated, really bright.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't she go to an Ivy League college?
I believe she did.
She did.
Comes from a good family.
And she actually made a choice
to go into porn
and did not do drugs.
She's hilarious on
most
Twitter.
Most of those porn stars, I messed around with a couple of them when I was doing drugs. They do drugs to do the porn.
They just can't stand it.
I don't know if they can't stand it or they can stand it. I mean, they
just relaxes them.
It makes it tenable.
Right.
And the drug that you have to do is methamphetamine. That's the drug that allows you to, you know that's true, right, Jim?
I never did meth.
But you know that it allows you to have sex, unlike cocaine, which makes it sometimes very
Kills
difficult.
Your cock, yeah.
Okay, we can be really frank here.
Oh, yeah.
Cocaine's a cock killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spent...
Meth is okay, though? For sex?
Yeah, it doesnn't have any negative. It has actually very positive impact on your penis.
Better than ecstasy?
Positive penis drug.
better than ecstasy?
Better than ecstasy. More sustained. You can pop maybe sometimes 3 in a row if you're really, really turned on. I mean, pop and not lose it. Pop again.
Really?
Early in the addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, early. Later, it doesn't work at all. Like all drugs, it stops working, both sexually and as a drug.
How many porn stars do you think you messed around with, if you had a guess?
What's your name?
Jim
Florentine. Very funny comic.
I'm curious.
Jim, I didn't meet you.
I idolize you. I mean, I know
you don't idolize me.
Yes, I do.
You don't idolize. Comics don't idolize anybody.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely what?
The films you've
absolutely
done.
What?
He's been here an hour. You haven't met him yet?
I don't listen. I didn't introduce myself. I came in here.
He's a very funny comic.
To a buzzsaw of cock talk. To a buzzsaw of cock talk.
That's actually the new name of the show.
Cock talk. Opie's Hour Cock Talk with Jim the comic and Jim Norton.
You've been
What's
in
your last
some of my
name?
favorite movies, Florentine. You've been in some of my favorite.
You like
movies
the Florentine?
Ever. No, that's my last name.
He did a movie called The Florentine.
I know
Tom did a
yeah.
movie called The Florentine, yeah.
Yeah, I did a movie with Florentine.
Yes. True Romance.
True Romance is a great movie.
Natural Born Killers.
Great movie.
And Heat is one of my favorite movies of all
I think
time.
Heat might be one of the 10 best movies ever made. Well, it's one of the best heist movies ever
Absolutely.
made.
That heist scene is unbelievable.
And
The
all
whole
the
movie,
all the
relationships
performances
in the movie, just everything was
Yeah, you know,
was
Dennis
great.
Haysbert and his
I want that paper when he's
It's
done.
just circles. A lot of
it
circles.
says Heat, it says Asia, it says Call Seika.
Tom Sizemore has been doodling the entire time.
No, it doesn't say Call Seika.
And me and Jim
My
Norton are
girlfriend,
just
listen,
watching you doodle.
Melissa, I'm joking.
Okay. Hey,
I have a very serious girlfriend, and I really adore her.
Yeah,
Melissa,
Seika's married anyway.
Yeah,
She's
don't worry
out of that
about
life.
All right,
hang on a second. Melissa, I love you, and I was just joking about. I was trying to make a joke.
She's good. Could you tell us about the cocaine and the
But
cock?
Jim,
Sizemore.
All right, so we
Sizemore, you were
Cocaine,
gonna,
okay, I was in
you
the
were
Four
gonna talk
Seasons
about,
once.
You were going to talk
I
about
was the Four
cocaine and the
Seasons
cock.
cocaine killer.
Right.
The cocaine killer. It wasn't a man. I mean, the dick killer.
Yeah.
It was the cocaine. The cock killer.
Sure.
The cock killer.
I was at the Four Seasons once when I discovered cocaine, like 2 months after I discovered it, and I had sex on it a couple times, and it was like amazing, right? By myself, though. It was sex by myself.
Oh,
watching.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you invite that actor over?
Yeah. You're shedding skin like a snake, just throwing it.
I called the red light district the next morning. Cocaine makes you do crazy shit. I call red light district and I go, hey, I want to meet Chasey Lane. They went, who is this? I went, I can't tell you. But can you give her my number? Let me give you where I live. And this woman goes, you're out of your fucking mind. And hangs up on me. And I call her back and go, I can't give you my name. I can't. I just did a big movie called Natural Born Killers. And wow. But I want her to come over here. She goes, hey, listen, you fucking cocksucker. And can you... She made me feel really this small. And I said, I'm driving in there. And she said, if you drive over here, I'm going to shoot you.
Wow.
I said, who are you? She said, I'm a receptionist / whore. I went, what are you doing? It's a true story.
I believe it.
So 2 months after this incident, I'm at the Four Seasons, right? And something's happening that I didn't understand. My penis is getting smaller and smaller, and I'm getting hornier and hornier, and I'm calling up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
I spent $17,000 in a short amount of time, like a day.
Wow.
And all I got was a peanut dick. And I
just drew a
actually
peanut
got cut off by somebody, not Heidi, who said, I can't do this to you anymore in good conscience. You've given me $17,000 and you just asked for everybody over again in different clothes.
Wow.
Wow is right.
How many
It's
you
the
think
only time
came
I ever
over?
did anything like that. Like it was
How
my-
many? 6, 7 girls maybe over there?
10 girls.
Well, it started out with one.
And you couldn't get it.
So I thought two would be better.
So you couldn't get it up for any
And then, of
of
course,
them.
they think I'm a dumb idiot, and they go, "Hey, I got friends. 5 would be good." You know, and I had I had $40,000 in my pocket.
Oh.
And she goes, "You want to spend all that?" I went, "No." She goes, "Well, you're gonna, baby, you're gonna." And they make it sound sexy because you're high.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a kid. It's the only time I ever did anything like that. I never did it again. But I never did anything crazy like that. But because when I came out of it, I was like, I spent $17,000 and I didn't even get an erection. Screw having sex.
Right.
Did you at least eat their boxes or anything?
Yeah. What did you get for your 17,000? You had to get something.
I made them all come probably like 500 times.
All right. So,
I did a lot. I kept thinking I would get an erection, but I don't really do that. You know,
You keep in touch with the
when,
old
when
guy?
I don't like,
Yeah.
when I don't know somebody.
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah, but I was trying everything. I was like running around the room 5 times, hanging from the ceiling, then falling on my face, and maybe I'll get
Nothing, right?
nothing worked.
Nothing
Okay, everybody
worked.
go to the pool and put a bunch of water in your vaginas, and then come up here and squirt it on my face.
Yeah, waterboard me.
I'm not bullshitting you. Waterboard me with your pussy. And we'll pretend it's cum. I know it's water, but we're going to pretend it's cum.
Wow. We didn't even talk about the new movie.
Yeah, they tell us we have to wrap up.
Oh, come on. We're going to talk about Honest Steve.
We'll talk
No,
about
we're
it,
gonna.
yeah.
Opie, you.
No,
you
we're
talk
gonna
about
talk about.
I shouldn't
But
have come on here.
can he
You're
hang
not
out?
unlike Howard. You're not unlike Howard.
Right.
You get me going.
Right.
And you just exploit me.
I don't think so.
You're phenomenal.
No, we love honesty. This is amazing.
This project, by the way.
It's called an
Does
Honest
he really
Steve.
have to leave?
Yeah.
No,
Why?
I got to do it. I got to.
No, we have to talk for a few more minutes. Make sure he gets
About
the movie
yeah.
out.
A phoner to do.
No, this
fuck-
is the phoner's
Yeah,
not as
fuck the
important as
phoner.
this.
We'll have the phoner.
Ask my manager what's more important, this or the phoner.
Yeah,
Who's the phoner for?
I don't know.
We'll have more people listening.
Yeah,
on the
way
phone.
more here.
Okay,
Or
so
you could call
listen.
You could call them
for
on our
those of
show.
you out for those of you out there who are listening just now.
Right.
We were having a good time talking about old times. This was the early '90s, but right now, in 2014, I'm about to produce my first movie called An Honest Thief.
Right.
And we've raised about half the money. It's Danny Trejo starring in the movie with me and a lot of other talented actors. And we're trying to raise the money with the Indiegogo. So you go to Indiegogo.com and you type in An Honest Thief, and you'll see our page. And there's a lot of groovy and really cool perks and stuff if you get involved. You could become an executive producer. You could come to the premiere. You set visits. You could go to Tiger Stadium and see a ball game in the suite with me, or at Dodger Stadium and see a ball game with Trejo. And my brother wrote the movie. It started out as an idea for a short movie for my dad. And when he lost his last sibling, he called me up and he was really upset. And he said, "I'm an orphan." And I called my brother up and I said, "We should do something for Dad. Maybe make a movie, a short film." And I thought it would just be photographs, and I do a voiceover or something. And he said, let's write a real script. He said, a short script, and you and Tom Jane will do the two parts. And Tom and I were really close at the time. We're still close, but not like we were. And anyway, long story short, he ended up writing a feature.
Wow.
And he sent it to me, and I read about 30 pages of it, and I called Tom up and went, "Tom, I'm not objective. Do you have time to come over?" He said, "No." But the next few days we got together and we read it out loud, Tom, Jane, and I did. And he said to me, "This is a really, really a wonderful script. You should do something with this." That was 5 years ago. And as time went on, he refined it. It got even better. Tom fell out of the movie, not because we never felt as friends. He just got busy and he had some problems with Patricia, and he was going through a divorce, etc. So we started raising the money. We got some money, and then we got down the road. But everybody wanted to move. We got down the road just recently 2 times with investors who, they get you pregnant and then they don't want to have the baby because they wanted to move the movie out of Detroit. And Detroit's a character in the movie. And also, I was born and raised in Detroit, and my brother still lives in the outer environs. And as everyone, I think you all know, Detroit's had some very difficult times of late.
Yeah.
And I'm not Dan Gilbert. I can't put $1 billion in there, but the idea was to shoot the movie in Detroit and hire only Detroit people for the crew and stuff, and give a little infusion of cash to the city, and make people feel good about Detroit. And so they wanted to move the movie out of Detroit to New Orleans or Vancouver. So my manager, Charles Lago, and producing partner, and we decided to go the Indiegogo route. I wasn't very educated about it, and he educated me. And it's a great site. It's a great page, and a lot of people are getting involved. And we just started last week with the campaign. And I really mean this. If we do this movie the way we can, if this movie gets realized the way it could be realized, it could be a really great movie in the genre of Reservoir Dogs. I'm not saying it's going to be that changed the way movies were made in a way, but it has a Detroit idiom, and it's a great dialogue. It's really terrific, and I really appreciate any help you can give us, and we can do this together. We can do it.
How much money you need to raise, you think, for the film?
$1 million and change.
$1 million and change?
Yeah.
All right, so they got to go to Indigo.com, right?
That's great, man.
Indiegogo.com.
Indigo, I should say. Indigo.
Indego?
No, it's Indiegogo. It's Indigogo.
Indiegogo.com.
Yeah.
INDIE
An
Gogo.com.
Honest Thief
Right.
is the name of the movie.
And then type in An Honest Thief.
Type in An Honest Thief.
Right.
Yeah. And
your brother wrote the screenplay.
My brother wrote he's an attorney, he's not a screenwriter, and he just wrote a really great screenplay.
Wow. Is that him?
Yeah, and he's ready to go. He's mad at me. It's your
Why
fault.
is he mad?
Okay.
He's
So
really upset. Open the door. Is he really upset?
Is that your brother?
That's his manager.
He's really annoyed.
I got to go. So
I'm sorry. We're sorry. He's really mad. I'm sorry.
Well, he's mad at me.
He might be mad that 17 grand could have went to the film.
Man, that was 1992. I got to go.
I'm sorry, sir. Yeah?
Thank you very much, you guys. It was a
Thanks,
lot of
Tom.
fun. I'll come back some other time.
Oh,
Tom,
my
that was
God.
awesome.
Always a pleasure. Tom
Awesome.
Sizemore just entertained the hell out of us.
Had to hustle out because he's late for his phoner.
I want that.
You want it?
He's got to sign that. He's got to sign his duels.
Yeah.
I got to put that online. It's crazy. He was just making circles and all sorts of shit the entire time he was here.
What a great interview. Fuck.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Tom Sizemore. Wow.
Him and Thomas Jane would be good together, too. Too bad because he's such a fucking great actor. You know he is, right?
Yeah.
From Boogie Nights. Awesome.
Uh-oh, the guy hung up. Here, open the door.
Oh, no. What
There
happened?
might be a problem.
Hope Tom cursed.
I want to get a picture with him.
Tom, is there a problem?
What happened?
What happened? There's a problem. There's a problem.
What happened to the phoner?
What happened to the phoner?
He hung up on me. No, we got disconnected. He's calling right back.
Just call him
All
back.
right. Could you sign that? Could you sign your doodles for us?
For
whatever. Just.
Can I come back later?
We were just saying
anytime you
how
want.
Tom. We were saying how great it was.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed
Phenomenal.
it. Okay.
the great Tom Sizemore. He's fucking phenomenal.
What happened, Sam?
The phone. He's on the air while he's in here signing the thing.
Right.
He's got his manager going, "You're on the air. You're on the air." Right. Trying to give him the phone.
Oh, Tom.
He's just pacing up and down the hall, doing a phone or giving us a thumbs up. He's just giving us a thumbs up.
But this hall has terrible cell phone reception.
Yeah,
I know,
terrible.
yeah.
He'll
He's just
be
gonna
back.
get disconnected
He'll be back in a
the
minute.
whole time.
He'll be back in a second. His guy, is that his brother?
No, it's his manager.
It's just his manager.
But I asked if that was your brother. He said, yeah.
He probably
He said a lot of shit.
If you wanted to fuck to Vanessa Del Rio, you guy's the best.
I know.
He's awesome.
He's 15 minutes late for his phoner, and he's just gonna get disconnected the whole time.
You think he was really fucked up in some of those great movies he was in?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he was.
I wanted to ask him about that. He
De
seemed to
Niro
be-
actually came to his house to take him to rehab. I mean, De Niro tried to save him.
Wow. I wonder if he still hangs with De Niro.
And then him and Chris Penn were the cops in True Romance.
Sure.
And Chris,
I like this Clarence. He's a wild man.
yeah, they were great in that. I wonder if they were messed up at that time too.
Probably.
You got to think.
Probably.
In between shots, right? In between filming.
There's a weird energy with guys who he's such a good actor. Like they have this fucking unusual energy. Like I'm envious of it. It's like he could literally play anything and make it work as a fucking actor.
The shit he remembers, the details.
I know.
His stats in sports, and he knew everything about Dahmer, and he was mad at us. I'm like, yeah, we saw the documentary, but I saw it a year and a half ago at this point, and he had all the details still in his head. Pretty impressive.